My name is Oshifesolu Larry. I'm a mechanic. Welcome to Exxon F1, also known as Formula One Column Africa. Now, let me start by saying some people will come to my page, especially on Instagram, and start abusing me and start lecturing me on Formula One. The things you've been led to by the media have made you believe so many lies and so many things. You know, sport is not like that. You might like Ronaldo, you might like Messi, but these guys are great players. You might like Neymar, maybe because he dribbles a lot. Messi is a natural talent. Ronaldo because he works hard for it. But these guys are natural players. They are great players. They are wonderful players. So you saying you love one is your choice. So now saying Ronaldo was accused of this is a bad person, or Ronaldo is, no, we need to love them equally and show them compassion, because this is sport. They will face a lot of criticism, they will face a lot of backlash, but we need to support them, not add to their mental stress. And adding to mental stress, FIA has given a written warning to Dr. Omotmako. I think F1 is doing something I think is good. Some people say you keep talking. Yes, we keep talking about it. You need to stop racism, saying he's Hispanic, that is why he's behaving like that. No, it's wrong. They've written him, and I think Red Bull, since Friday, that's since yesterday, Red Bull has not written an apology. Yes, Helmut Marko has tendered his apology to Sergio Perez. Red Bull need to write an apology out there so everybody can see. We can know that they are not the way we think they are. At least they should pretend. And I think Crisona should be smarter than that. On Felipe Massa crash gate issue, Mercedes said they are watching. And why did that come up again? It happened in Singapore 2008. The funny thing is this: Ben Ecclestone was the one that even brought it up again. You know, there are some old guys in F1 that they don't look at their age. Maybe age is their problem. Age is their control. When they do some evil back then, when the age start haunting them, they will now be coming back to say this. Ben Ecclestone came out recently again. He said he knew that it happened. He knew the information, which means he might have known the information that very day, that very week, or that very month, that very year. It was brought up by Nelson Piquet in 2009 after the championship. But Ben Ecclestone said he knew. Knowing could be a day, that week, that month, or that year. But they brought it up in 2009 and it was closed. And you know why? FI have always stipulated that once the championship cup has been given to a winner, it cannot be reversed. But now, this guy is coming up like, no, he's going to fight for it. We even thought, because it's a civil case. For me, I was even thinking the best they can do for him is compensate him. But the way it is going, Mercedes are like, yeah, I love this. Either give or take, because it was not Mercedes' fault. Renault decided to do their own. They purposely crashed. It was not like somebody told Latifi in 2021 to go and crash. That's the difference. They purposely crashed. Now, Ferrari made a mistake in their pit stop. Everybody was meant to pit at that point. It is not a case of track positioning at that point. If Ferrari had pitted Felipe Massa rightly, he would have gotten out, because everybody had to pit. If they had pitted him rightly, he would have gotten out earlier and he would have gotten into the point. Mercedes were looking for track position in 2021. Yeah, because they believe at most, if the race was not to end behind the safety car, there should be a red flag for everybody to restart. So they were there gaining track position. So it's a different scenario. Some of you will say, yeah, it's king. No, I'm not siding Mercedes. All teams I talk about, the way I should talk about them. So Mercedes are now saying, yeah, they are watching closely to see what F1 will do, because it will be something that will change the history of Formula 1. Because remember, Mercedes already wrote a petition. They were going to court, but because they were begged by F1, because if they had gone to court, it has destroyed and tarnished the image of F1 straight, in which some people did not even look at. They didn't even look at their image. Okay, somebody should tell me now that I won my first championship, or I did the best thing I did in my life, cheating or getting it under cheating somebody. Look at, there was this football game when this Argentine coach of Leeds United, then something happened and they gave them a penalty, and he believed that that ball was not a penalty and they should not be given. They scored. He told his team not to attack the opposing team, to give them the chance to play, and they scored, and it was a 1-1, and they started playing. It was even, and they won the game, because they didn't want to win the game under the guise of cheating. Nobody knew what Ben Ecclestone knew that year until the following year that Renault did that. Look at that. Common sense. So Red Bull, they had gone back to the pit. They walked over their car all through the night, but majorly they worked on Max Verstappen's car. Chamfered a lot of edges, did a lot of changes, a lot of setup changes on his car, much was not done on Sergio Perez's car, and we know that that car was built to suit Max Verstappen. Since 2019, Red Bull's car has been built to suit his driving style. That is why no other driver was able to cope or to drive the same car that was built to suit Max Verstappen, because he loved a pointy car, a car that is so pointy that he can engage the corner easily and still have his rear. So one of the issues Red Bull was having yesterday was their rear, but today they had a more stable rear. But Perez was still complaining. McLaren's upgrade on Lando Norris worked perfect for him. Piastri does not have the full upgrade package, so he still have something coming up for him in Japan. But that is for McLaren and Red Bull. Ferrari are looking pretty good, decent pace. All the practices, they've come on top. Leclerc in the first practice, Sainz second practice, Sainz third practice. And I'll tell you how the practice unfolded. So the FP3, the McLaren came out showing good speed, but the Ferrari were just on point. The Red Bull improved their pace, with the walk over the night. They got some decent pace on their medium tires, but the Ferrari too ran their simulation on medium tires, while the Mercedes did soft tires all through. They were behind pace at first, had a lot of setup changes. They got their pace back. They were able to match the runners on medium tires, and they did a lot of different setups, but Max Verstappen was on top. He kept on complaining about the gear shift on his car, and I think the way he wanted the shift is so much different from the way other drivers wanted their shift, because he's been complaining about that up and down shift for quite some time, since Saudi Arabia. That is when he's been complaining about that up and down shift on his car. So every practice he will always complain about the up shifting of the transmission, and if you understand sport cars, the way it runs, to get you up shifting, you need the torque on the engine to be so high to change so that it can give you or deliver the necessary power it needs to deliver to the wheel at the point in time it needs to deliver it. So I think the way the upshift is a little bit erratic for him. So I think that is why he's complaining, and he wants it snappy, fast, and bingo. And I think he's been complaining about that. So they had some software control changes there for him during the FP3, and I think he got it back. He said it was fair for him. He brought out some decent pace, but their pace were not up to the, even with the changes they made. They were closer, they were about 3/10 closer to the top runners, to the Ferraris, but they were still off the pace, which means it's going to be a very close qualifying. But looking at the qualifying, I think the qualifying is between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. The Red Bull have been off the pace in this. And why did I bring Mercedes into the play? The Ferrari has been so decent in Singapore. The weather will change a little. There was rain early in the morning that washed the track off, so they've laid some rubbers. Some rubbers will still be laid again. So I think in qualifying they will be much more faster, and the Ferraris will be much more faster, and the Mercedes too will be faster. But from what they're saying, the Red Bulls are not looking on the qualifying pace, but on the race pace they look pretty decent on the race pace. And I think the qualifying pace will be between, like I said, the Ferrari and the Mercedes. And the Mercedes are coming into play because the two drivers, especially Lewis Hamilton, can pull up a mighty lap because of his experience, while George Russell has been doing a wonderful job in the FP3 today. He did a very good job, and Carlos Sainz has been on a pace different from his teammate Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz has been pretty fast since he gained his mojo back in Italy, and Charles Leclerc too can pull up a decent pretty lap because he's so good on the closed circuit, which is street circuit. He drives to the extreme to pull out some pretty laps in times that we don't look at. So it might be between these two teams, and we won't be leaving the McLaren behind because they have a decent pace. Aston Martin lost their pace during the FP3, but Albon came back strong. He was on pace. So the qualifying predictions, like I said, between Mercedes and Ferrari. But who do I think will be on pole? I think Ferrari on pole. Ferrari looks decent on pole because they've been decent on pace. They look on pole. But Mercedes, like I said, can pull out something out of the bag. We don't know. But Ferrari on pole. Mercedes, Ferrari locking out the front two rows. Others coming behind. Winning the race. I think Mercedes wins the race. They have good times on tires, good tire management, good pace. They will do a pretty job. The race also is between the Mercedes and the Ferrari, but I think Mercedes wins the race. If there is no rain, if there is rain, I think the Red Bull and the McLaren comes into play. Let's go into the qualifying. What happens in the Q1, Q2, and Q3? Thank you. Qualifying. I have to do that again. In the qualifying, a lot of things went down. A whole lot went down. Number one, let me give you some brief history. I asked a question some time ago about 3 drivers that have had their 158th Grand Prix in Austria, and the last one to have it this year. Let me just answer the question. There are 3 drivers that have had their 158th Grand Prix exactly in Austria, and the drivers are Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, and Kevin Magnussen. The driver that had his own this year, which is the last driver, is Kevin Magnussen. That's the answer. Aside that, it's so funny, Let let me go to another fact. Fun fact. This is the first time this season that Ferrari would lead all practice sessions. FP1, Leclerc, FP2, Carlos Sainz, FP3, Carlos Sainz, including the qualifying. This is the first time this season that they are leading all practices and qualifying. And another one, I told you yesterday about lizards. Lizards in Singapore are protected though. So if you want to go and think you can just do lizard anyhow, there are different types of lizard there, Even your crocodile, they are big lizards. So if you do anyhow there. So they are well protected, and I think government of Singapore did a good job overnight to make sure they got the lizards in a place in which they wouldn't disturb the race. So all through the FP3 today and qualifying, there were no lizards. From what they said, they are part of their ecosystem. They help their ecosystem, which we know how it is. They feed on lizards also. That part of the world. Also, there have to be a balance. Singapore is a very tight country in which they barely have a landmass. Yeah, let me go back to Flexi-wings. This Flexi-wing issue, I hope it won't cause wahala, and I hope it is not the reason why the Red Bulls are slow. Certainly, we will know in Suzuka, but they have claimed that that's not the reason why they are slow. That they had flaw issues. They changed their flaws overnight for FP3. They chamfered their flaws and everything. But for qualifying, they've removed the flaws because they thought it was injuring them, and they went back to their old flaw because they have to bring the flaw down a little to get the necessary drag coefficient for them to push. So we hope Japan, we will see the Red Bulls back on top. That is my hope, because this weekend I thought they would have wrapped up the championship, so that at least if they've wrapped up championship for the constructor, by next weekend they wrap up drivers championship, maybe we can now see another team winning. At least if they wrap up, even if they don't win, they can come in second, and Mercedes out of this out, they would have wrapped it up. But where we are now, I don't know. But let's see what happens next week in Japan, because I know a lot of teams, including me, I will raise it like Kilode, because one thing is, I've always said it, everybody is unique and everybody should come out and just display your best and do whatever you are doing without cheating somebody else. You understand? But if somebody is cheating, even if a Mercedes or Ferrari cheat, I will drag them like Kilode. So for the Red Bull fans that think I hate Red Bull, because somebody said he will school me on Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, and I'm like, I beg, which school are we going to? Are we going to Mercedes school of schooling or Red Bull school of schooling? Because I don't know the school this person wants to take me to school me on what happened between Lewis Hamilton and Bottas. Maybe he thinks we don't see it when the ball is already in the court of Lewis Hamilton, or Lewis Hamilton is leading the championship. And if Lewis Hamilton is leading the championship and they believe he can win it, or they should quickly wrap it up, and they tell Bottas to give him the opportunity to overtake him, or if Lewis Hamilton is having a faster car. And for those that want to school me, let me school you back. It was only in 2 races that they told Lewis Hamilton not to give the place back, because Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, they are in a good relationship, that if Lewis Hamilton have a faster car and he goes for it, he will tell Bottas to come back and overtake him. If Bottas can keep up with the pace, he will tell him, okay, let me give the place back. It was only in 2 races, and one, Lewis Hamilton had a faster car. He was able to overtake the Red Bull ahead of him. He overtook another car, so Bottas could not keep up, so he was unable to come from first and give Bottas in 4th positions. And also there was a race in which Lewis Hamilton hunted Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari, and he was able to lead him. Bottas 2 led, so it was Mercedes 1-2. Lewis Hamilton was about giving the place back, but the team gave an order that they should not give it back because it helps them in the championship, so that they can wrap up the championship. In that season, Lewis Hamilton was leading Bottas over 100 points. Bim. So if you are giving me facts, please give me facts that I don't know. Mercedes never sabotaged their team. They didn't take undue advantage. The cars for Mercedes are not built for Lewis Hamilton. Yes, so that when Bottas come, he won't be able to drive it. No, the cars for Ferrari were not built alone for Sebastian Vettel nor Charles Leclerc. The cars in Red Bull were built for Max Verstappen's driving style. That is why any other driver coming into Red Bull finds it difficult to drive that car. Even when Sergio Perez got the driving style right, they disabled his car. Let me say that they disabled his car. Only somebody that understands would know that somebody that was on the par with you for 4 races in the season just went PM for like 9 races. He was nowhere, mistakes, nothing. The car was not just the way he used to drive it, and he kept on complaining. In every interview, he would say, the car is not just the way he used to drive it. They don't understand what is happening to his car. I don't understand what is happening to my car, but what is happening to the other guy's car? They keep doing the setup. They don't get it. But after the break, they got the setup back. Hello, I don't understand. Who does that? This is Formula 1, please. Let me go back to Q1. The Q1 was not really interesting because a lot of jam pack, a lot of interference, a lot of of drivers blocking one another from the pit lane to the track until Lance Stroll buckled his car into the wall on the final corner, in which he took out other drivers with him. Taking them out as in their qualifying lap didn't count, and some had to stop because he brought out a red flag. But the best thing and the most enjoyable thing for me was Lance Stroll was okay. He was smart enough to drop the steering when he saw the impact, which did not compromise his hand like Daniel Ricciardo's hand was compromised in Dutch Grand Prix. And I'm happy for him. But the G-force, it was about 15 grams of G-force in which was exerted into his head, and I pray that he is okay, because immediately he was taken to the medical facility to check, because the way his head swung towards chassis of the car was so delicate. He lost the car from turn 14 agreeably, and he was unable to do well with the car, but they will check him. He will be driving tomorrow, needs to rest. That car needs a lot of repair. Take a whole day for repairing that car, and I hope they are able to get the right setup back on that car for him to be able to drive. That was just serious. Lance Stroll was out in Q1, number 20 in Q1. It was a hand in the mouth sin. We pray that he has the confidence to race tomorrow. Drivers out were Bottas 16, Piastri 17th, Logan Sargent 18, Zhou Guanyu 19, and Lance Stroll 20th. And in Q2, the most surprising started from Q2. What are the surprising things? The two Red Bulls were out. Max Verstappen 11 and Sergio Perez 13th, and they were on a good pace. Seriously, they were on a very good pace, and the car was not just giving them what they wanted. And that is where it comes to, is it the Flexi-wings, or they didn't get the balance of the car, or is it track specific? I'm not sure that is track specific, and I don't think it's the balance of the car, because they've been saying it. Immediately the FIA said, oh, the Flexi-wing is going out in Singapore, nobody will be given the opportunity. They've been saying that they won't be competitive in Singapore, but is it the Flexi-wing? We don't know yet. We would know when we get to Japan. Japan is not a street track, it's a different track. So we would know. 100% we would know. There are two steward reprimand to Max Verstappen's name in Q1 and Q2. He was caught for impeding in the pit lane and also impeding on the track. So he'll be facing the stewards, and there might be possible penalties for him. We don't know yet, but it should be on the weekend in which they should be wrapping up a lot of things, or close to wrapping it up. And the Red Bulls are not dead. I hope there won't be penalties so that they can make up something, because the championship is already wrapped up. Let's see how other teams would develop. If they can wrap it up at least in the next two races, they should leave other teams to win and let us focus on 2024. But let's see what happens tomorrow. But like I said, it's going to be an interesting race. Q2, Verstappen 11, Gasly 12, Perez 13, Alex Albon 14, and Tsunoda 15. He was unable to set any time because I think he had engine issues. He had to go back into the garage. And I told you already yesterday, and I said it earlier in this podcast, that pole position is between the Ferrari and the Mercedes, and that was it. Carlos Sainz taking the pole position. George Russell about 7,000 tenths behind him. Charles Leclerc, the same 7,000 tenths, but about 7,700 tenths behind George Russell. Lando Norris, I told you they will be in the mix. I said it that the McLaren will be in the mix. Lando Norris was 4th. Lewis Hamilton was 5th. Magnussen in 6th. Kevin Magnussen has found his mojo back. He has been able to see the reason why he should be qualifying. I think they've sealed him for next year 2024 in Haas, so I think he found his confidence. He's been doing well. Now he's qualifying the first time for him in Q3 this season. It's a good job for him. Alonso in 7th, Esteban Ocon in 8th, Nico Hulkenberg in 9th, and surprise, Liam Lawson in 10th, Alpha Tauri in Q3 this year. First time this year, Alpha Tauri in Q3, and that is surprising. Seriously, that is surprising. And coming in from a rookie driver, Alpha Tauri has had more drivers this year than update. There are 4 drivers: Yuki Tsunoda, Nick De Vries, Daniel Ricciardo, and Liam Lawson. But them getting to Q3 is just massive for them, and I think that is great. That is wonderful for them. So up to tomorrow, the prediction winning, I tip Mercedes winning the race. The Ferrari will try, and the thing is this: Ferrari still don't understand their tire management issue. I told you, they've known that they need to get it right in FP1, and that setup will get them through the whole weekend. Now they've gotten that it's only their tire setup, which I think majorly they need to reprofile their rear and get more brake ducts to cool the brakes. They will do a lot of jobs together, but holding back the Mercedes that is so fast tomorrow with a good race pace, I think that might be impossible for them. And Mercedes are having fresh yellow medium tires, which is good for that track. It will be a strategy of tires tomorrow, and who gets out better on the opening lap. And I think George Russell might catch Carlos Sainz napping, and that will determine what happens in the race. But like I said, I think it's a Mercedes win. One Ferrari will be on the podium, podium, but I think is a Mercedes on podium, McLaren possibly on podium, but I think is a Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari on the podium tomorrow. That is it for today. We'll catch you tomorrow in the main race. Okay, we love you. Subscribe, like, share, comment. I love you. Bye. Chee.
Gibor gives you power. Gibor gives you control. Gibor gives you benefits. Are you an individual or business that uses fuel or gas? Use Gibor to find the best prices across all retail outlets in your city. For users and businesses that buy volumes, Gibor gives you access to credit. Gibor also gives you the ability to track your costs and monitor expenses per car or fleet. Need to improve your costs, enjoy incentives, or track expense? Gibor is the answer. Enjoy 5% discount on your first 5 purchases when you get your next fuel voucher from Gibor. Log on to www.gibor.co to enjoy this. Retail outlets wanted nationwide.
I have a new friend in the house. We are in Nigeria here, West Africa. He provides internet for us. They provide the best internet around the mainland, and I know they are still moving to the highland and they are moving all around Nigeria. But for you to get internet on the mainland, contact Fibrad Telecom Limited. They get you sorted out ASAP. The best cable internet on the mainland, fiber, I think they get sorted out. We talk much about them in the course of some of our videos, but contact them, they get sorted out. If you're a builder, if you're an art collector, if you have a showroom, Rated is the best place to get the artworks you need for your new buildings, for your art collections, for your showroom, for your exhibition. Rated Art have one of the best murals, mosaic works, and different art patterns in Nigeria presently. And is somebody that you can communicate with, talks to you, you tell him what you want, and he will bring the reality out for you. Contact Rated Art. His number is right up here, and you can also go on social media links that are pasted right up here to check out some of his works. Thank you. Teams Gadget. Teams Gadget is for those of you that cannot easily go to the market to get your phones, your laptops, your accessories. Just place a call through. His phone number is there. It gets you the best. It's your shop plug to get you the best phones, accessories, laptops, games, and other accessories for your computer gaming experience. Contact Teams Gadget and you get them for you.